I spent my whole life being a pushover, giving the timber to my eldest brother to build his house, lending the relocation compensation to my third younger brother so he could get married, and rescuing my younger sister from an abusive husband. In the end, I lay in the ICU waiting for money to save my life, and every one of them said they were short on cash. My mother said she had more than 100,000 yuan saved for her coffin, but my life wasn't worth 80,000 yuan. Fine, then I don't want this life anymore. In 2000, late autumn. In the ICU, I lay on the hospital bed, so thin I was skin and bones. The heart monitor kept beeping, beep, each sound like a countdown. The sound of arguing came from outside the ward. I knew it all too well. I'd heard these words more than once already. Dad, what about that 100,000 plus you've got saved for your coffin? That was Sumei's voice, trembling. What coffin money? Where would we get any money? You're making vicious accusations. That was my mother, Li Hongxia, trying to weasel out of it. My eyelids twitched, but I didn't open my eyes. Last New Year, you yourself told third auntie that the money you and dad had was enough to buy 2 apartments in the county town. Do you want me to call third auntie over to confront you? The corridor fell silent for 2 seconds. Li Hongxia was struck speechless, then exploded. That's money for our old age. Who dares touch it? Aren't the eldest, the third, the fourth, and the fifth all children I gave birth to? You have to treat everyone fairly. You can't just keep picking at us old folks. Treat everyone fairly? Sumei's voice suddenly turned cold. Mom, don't you feel guilty saying that? My heart clenched hard. I knew that tone from her all too well. This woman who had been with me for more than 20 years was usually like a plant and weed, not making a sound even if you stepped on her. But once she was driven into a corner, not even 9 oxen could pull her back. Big brother, Sumei's voice came closer. You're here, right? Sister-in-law, you're here too. Third brother, third sister-in-law. Meili, stop hiding too. Let's settle the accounts clearly. Zhao Sumei, what do you mean by that? Eldest sister-in-law Zhou Guifang's voice rang out. We didn't want Guiqiang to get sick either. So why are you biting at everyone? Sumei laughed, and that laugh sounded even worse than crying. In 1980, eldest brother was working at the quarry when a landslide sent him tumbling more than 30 meters down a ravine. Who was it that searched for a whole day and night and carried eldest brother back? No one spoke. It was Guiqiang. He had just retired from the army and still had an old knee injury, yet he groped around in the mountains in the dark for more than 10 hours. He tied eldest brother onto his back and climbed out of the ravine step by step. After he came back, his knee was swollen for half a month. He couldn't even bend it when he walked. Big brother, do you still remember that? Big brother was silent for a long time, then muttered. I didn't say I don't remember. You may not have said it, but now you're watching your own younger brother lying in there waiting for money to save his life, and you still refuse to help. Sister-in-law, what you said. Zhou Guifang tried to cut in again. Eldest sister-in-law, don't rush. Sumei's voice steadied, but it carried a blade. When third brother was getting married, Guiqiang paid the bride price. Guiqiang bought the furniture, and even the wedding banquet was paid for by Guiqiang. Third brother, was I wrong? Third brother opened his mouth, but Su Qingqing beside him tugged at him, and he lowered his head. Third sister-in-law, don't tug at him. Let him speak for himself. Su Qingqing replied in a shrill voice. Second sister-in-law, how many years ago was all that old history? Besides, second brother was willing to help on his own. It's not like we forced him to. Right, he was willing. Sumei's voice suddenly choked with emotion. He was willing to do everything. All his life, he was willing to do anything for anyone. Only when it came to himself, to his wife and children, did he make do and swallow the hurt. I only felt my eyes grow hot. Meili, Sumei took a deep breath. In 81, when that beast Wang Chao beat you black and blue and you ran back to your parents' home. Who was it that stopped you from going back? Who was it that went to the Wang family's house, knocked out his front tooth with one punch, and forced him to sign the divorce agreement? It was your second brother. When he came back that day, his hands were covered in blood. He sat in the yard and said one sentence to me. He said, my sister wasn't married off to be beaten. Lin Meili burst into tears with a wail. Meili, your second brother has never begged anyone in his life. Right now he's just short of that 80,000 life-saving money. You wear gold and silver, live in a big house, drive a car, and you still can't. Second sister-in-law, our factory has a batch of goods tied up, and we're short on cash. Chen Jiang hurriedly cut in. That's enough, Chen Jiang. Sumei's voice suddenly became frighteningly calm. I accidentally overheard what you just said to Meili in the stairwell. You said your mother said your second brother's illness is a bottomless pit, and any money lent out would just be money down the drain. A deathly silence. Sumei turned to father and mother, her voice already so hoarse it was almost impossible to hear. Dad, Mom, is the second one really your biological child or not? What kind of nonsense are you talking? Li Hongxiao panicked. Of course Guoqiang is my biological son. Then why are you standing by and doing nothing while he dies? Sumei finally broke down. Has he ever treated anyone badly in his whole life? Whenever any family had trouble, wasn't he always the first to show up? When eldest brother was building his house, he carried bricks for 3 days, rubbing a layer of skin off his shoulders, and didn't even get a single meal. When the third brother started his business, he lent you the 3,000 yuan he had painstakingly saved, and 15 years later, you still haven't paid it back. When Mei Li was being bullied, he risked his life to stand up for you. When Dad was hospitalized last year, who was it that stayed by his bedside for 20 days? It was the second one, cleaning up his waste, helping him pee, wiping him down, and feeding him. By the day of discharge, he had lost 15 gene. Mom, you said you would treat everyone equally. When eldest brother got married, you gave 88 yuan as bride price and a pair of bracelets to eldest sister-in-law. When the third brother got married, you gave a sewing machine and a bicycle and silver bracelets to third sister-in-law. When the fifth daughter got married, you sent her off with a whole set of furniture as dowry, and Guoqiang even paid for it to be made. And when Guoqiang and I got married, 2 quilts, 1 pot, and 1 sentence. The family is having difficulties. When he was in the army, he sent his allowance to you every month. After he was discharged, those 800 yuan went to helping this one and that one. He himself didn't even have a decent set of clothes. What was he doing it for? All he wanted was for you to say one good word about him. To say he was a good man. To say he was an honest man. But you took his kindness for granted and treated his willingness to give in as weakness to be bullied. And when he really needed you, every one of you played deaf and dumb and stood by with folded arms. Sumei's voice grew lower and lower. 80,000 was enough to save his life. It's not as if you don't have the money. You just think. His life isn't worth 80,000. Those words were like a knife, stabbing straight into my heart. The cardiac monitor let out a rapid alarm. I suddenly opened my eyes. Nurses rushed in, and the people in the corridor came flooding into the ward. Sumei was the first to throw herself forward and grab my hand, her eyes red and swollen. Guoqiang, don't panic. I'll think of another way. I'll definitely be able to raise the money. Jingjing and Weiwei squeezed to the bedside, crying their eyes out. I looked at the 3 of them. More than half of Sumei's hair had turned white. Though she was only in her 40s, she looked like she was in her 50s. Jingjing had married a husband who didn't care for her, and at her in-laws' home, she was treated like a servant. Weiwei had it even worse. Mother had arranged for her to marry Fatty Wong, the town butcher, who was 15 years older than her and beat people whenever he drank. None of them had a good life. And I was the chief culprit. I was too good. I handed over all the resources to others and gave away everything they should have had. I let people step on my back to climb upward, and still said it was fine. It was fine. We're family after all. I thought that tolerance could buy harmony, could win back the bond between siblings. I was wrong. Terribly wrong. My gaze passed over my wife and daughters and fell on those people at the door. Dad stood at the very front, his face full of wrinkles as if carved by a knife, his lips trembling. Mom kept a stern face, her eyes red, yet the corners of her mouth drooped downward. That wasn't heartache. She was too ashamed by Sumei's words to save face. My eldest brother kept his head down, his hands twisted together. My eldest sister-in-law stood beside him, her face saying, "What does this have to do with me?" The third brother leaned against the doorframe, his eyes on the ceiling. Su Qingqing was even worse. She turned her back outright, pointing the back of her head at the hospital bed. Mei Li stood at the very back, crying until her makeup was ruined. Chen Jiang grabbed her by the arm and said in a low voice, "Don't get involved." Where was fourth sister Meiling? I turned my head with effort and saw her behind the crowd. She shook off her husband's hand, strode in, pulled out something wrapped in a handkerchief from her pocket, and stuffed it into Sumei's hand. "Second sister-in-law, this is 20,000 yuan. This is all I could scrape together." Her husband Qin Jiangwo's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot, but he didn't dare make a scene in public. Sumei clutched the 20,000 yuan, her hands trembling. 20,000, plus Jingjing's 2,000, Weiwei's 3,000, and the 5,000 she borrowed from her parents' home, made 30,000 in total. Still 50,000 short. She looked up at those people by the door, and the moment their eyes met, the last bit of hope in her eyes went out completely. Those people had money, but they didn't want to give it. They cared even less about me lying on the hospital bed. Instead, I became calm. I pulled out the oxygen tube. "Guoqiang!" Sumei shrieked and threw herself at me, but I pushed her away. Struggling, I sat up, ripped off the ECG monitor leads, and a piercing continuous alarm rang through the ward. Dad! My two daughters rushed up and held me down. Jingjing, Wei Wei, my voice was hoarse, but every word was perfectly clear. Dad has wronged you. In this lifetime, Dad has done many things wrong. The worst of them was believing that as long as I treated others well, they would treat me well too. That's not how it is. When you take one step back, he won't think you're tolerant. He'll think you can step back even more. When you yield a bit, he won't think you're generous. He'll think you should yield even more. In the next life, Dad will definitely change. Dad! Jingjing clung tightly to my arm, her tears soaking my clothes. Please stop talking, please stop. I looked at my two daughters, then at Su Mei, her face covered in tears. I wanted to reach out and touch her face, but halfway up, my hand fell back down. I wasn't worthy. Su Mei, I said one last thing. In this life, you've suffered. Then I pushed everyone aside and, barefoot on the icy floor, walked step by step toward the door. Those people automatically moved aside to make a path. No one stopped me. No one dared to stop me. By the time Su Mei ran after me, I had already pushed open the stairwell window. Then there was a dull thud. No! Her scream pierced through the entire hospital building. I felt myself falling. In the darkness were shattered points of light, and in every fragment was reflected a piece of the past. At 18, I stood at the village entrance in military uniform, and Su Mei secretly watched me from behind the crowd, blushing. At 25, I returned from the army with my knee wrapped in bandages, limping as I carried my eldest brother out of the mountains on my back. At 26, I stuffed 300 yuan into third brother's hand and said, "Use it, there's no rush to pay it back." At 43, I argued with Mom, begging her not to marry Wei Wei off to Wang Pengzi. She said a grown daughter couldn't be kept at home forever, then turned around and put the 3,000 yuan betrothal gift into the cabinet. At 46, I lay on the hospital bed, listening to the quarrel in the corridor as a tear slid from the corner of my eye. All the fragments merged into a mass of white light. In the white light, there was a voice. In this life, he was wrong. If there is a next life, he wants to live differently. I suddenly snapped my eyes open. What met my eyes was not a hospital ceiling, but a roof patched with old newspapers. The newspapers had yellowed, the corners curling up, and there was a water stain in the corner of the wall, shaped like a crouching cat. There was no smell of disinfectant in the air, but a mix of earth, firewood, and pig feed. Outside came the sound of a rooster crowing and the neighbor's dog barking. And from afar, the loudspeaker was playing On the Fields of Hope. I froze. I slowly turned my head. Lying on the Kong was someone. Zhao Sumei. No, not that Zhao Sumei with graying hair and a face full of wrinkles. The young her. She wore two thick black braids. Her skin was wheat-colored, and her lips were slightly pursed. Her brow still furrowed, even in sleep. Beside her, a 3-year-old little girl was curled up in her arms, a tuft of yellowish hair showing. It was my eldest daughter, Jingjing. Next to them, a baby was wrapped in an old quilt, her mouth slightly open, breathing evenly. It was my second daughter, Wei Wei, only 1 year old. I was like I'd been struck by lightning, completely motionless. I slowly raised my own hand. They were a young man's hands, rough and calloused, but the skin was firm and the joints strong. Not the skin and bones hands from my last life. I suddenly sat up. Su Mei was startled awake and opened her eyes groggily. Guoqiang? What's wrong with you? 25-year-old Su Mei. Her eyes were bright, her lips full, and there were 2 healthy flushes on her cheeks. She was still young. Life had not crushed her yet. My eyes suddenly reddened. What's wrong with you? Do you have a fever? She propped herself up on one arm and reached out to touch my forehead. I grabbed her hand and held it tight. Ow, go easy. What on earth is wrong? I opened my mouth, my voice hoarse as if I had a mouthful of sand. Su Mei. Nothing. I just wanted to call your name. She muttered, "You're crazy," then curled back up and went on sleeping. I sat on the Kong, watching the sky slowly grow light. The eastern horizon turned pale white, then was tinged with orange-red. Roosters crowed one after another. I remembered. This was 1980, the 4th year of my marriage to Su Mei. Jingjing was 3, and Wei Wei had just turned 1. This was the year my eldest brother was going to build a new house. He was going to use that batch of timber from my military subsidy. I had injured my leg in the army and was discharged, and that batch of timber was aid from the army to help me build a house. In the end, my family never built a new house, and my eldest brother's family benefited instead. I remember it clearly. Mom came to discuss it with me and said, "Your eldest brother's family is building a house. You're the younger brother, so you should help out. Lend that batch of timber to your eldest brother first, And when you build your house later, he'll return it. What did I do in my last life? I nodded and said, okay, Mom, it's up to you. Did he ever return it afterward? No one even mentioned it. Later on, when the fifth child got married, I paid again. When my parents fell ill, I paid and worked again. I was like an old ox, grinding away my whole life. And in the end, I didn't even get one full meal. Sume and our 2 daughters suffered for a lifetime with me. I got off the Kong, walked to the cabinet in the corner, and rummaged through it. Under several old clothes washed so many times they had faded white was a cloth bundle. I opened the cloth bundle and found a stack of crumpled bills. I counted them, 327 yuan and 6 mao. Our entire family fortune. In my last life, this money would be borrowed away by Mom today, never to be returned. I wrapped it up again and stuffed it into the deepest part of the cabinet. Turning around, my gaze fell on my wife and daughters sleeping soundly on the Kong. I thought of my previous life. Sume had suffered alongside me her whole life. Whenever there was anything good to eat at home, I always gave it to others first, and she and the girls could only chew on corn buns with pickles. When Jingjing got married, I couldn't even afford a decent dowry. Sume melted down the silver bracelet her mother had left her and made a pair of earrings for our daughter as part of her marriage portion. That was her only keepsake. When Mom promised Wei Wei to Fatty Wong, I objected. Mom cried, made a scene, and threatened suicide, forcing me to agree. I remembered lying in the hospital bed, hearing Sume say that sentence. You weren't without money. You just felt he wasn't worth that price. Not worth that price. How much had I given for them in this life? Far more than 8 lots of 80,000. I clenched my fists so tightly that my nails dug into my palms, the pain going numb. But that pain couldn't compare to the pain in my heart. In my previous life, I did right by everyone, except the ones I most should have done right by. Enough. I walked to the edge of the Kong and gently tucked the corner of the blanket around Sume, then lowered my head to look at my 2 daughters. My voice was very soft, but every word seemed to be squeezed out through clenched teeth. In this life, I'm done serving them. Outside the window, the sun finally leaped above the horizon. Golden red sunlight surged in from all directions, dyeing the whole room in warm colors. In the distance, the loudspeaker was still playing a song, the singing loud and uplifting, as if it wanted to sing out all the hope of the entire 1980s. Our hometown. On the fields of hope, cooking smoke drifts above the newly built houses. A small river flows beside the beautiful village. Lin Guoqiang stood in the sunlight, backlit, like a silent statue. He knew that today would be the day everything changed. Because today, Li Hongxia would come to borrow those 300 yuan. And this time, he would give a completely different answer. Sure enough, just after breakfast, Li Hongxia came. She was wearing a faded blue cloth jacket, her hair combed immaculately and twisted into a bun at the back of her head, pinned with a silver hairpin. On her feet was a pair of black cloth shoes, with a few mud spots on the uppers, clearly showing she had walked all the way from the old house. The moment she came in, her eyes first swept toward the cabinet in the corner. Lin Guoqiang knew that look all too well. In his previous life, after that look, she would sit down and chat idly about family matters for a while. Then the conversation would turn, and she'd bring up that sum of money. The whole combination move flowed seamlessly, without a single gap. She knew her second son too well. Lin Guoqiang had always been easygoing since childhood, soft-hearted, and most unable to bear hearing others tell him about their hardships. As soon as someone said the family was having difficulties and your elder brother had it hard, his heart would soften, he'd nod, and he'd hand over money. She had used this routine for 20 years, and it worked every time. But this time, Guoqiang, have you eaten? Li Hongxia sat down on the edge of the Kong, a smile on her face. Just eating now. Lin Guoqiang sat by the table, with a bowl of cornmeal porridge so thin it could reflect a person's face and half a lump of pickled vegetables in front of him. Zhao Sume was busy by the stove, and the 2 daughters were eating at the small table. The eldest daughter, Lin Jing, held a bowl and fed her younger sister Lin Wei rice paste 1 spoonful at a time. The rice paste was made from ground rice, specially prepared by Zhao Sume for the younger daughter, while she and Lin Jing drank cornmeal porridge instead. Lin Guoqiang looked at that bowl of cornmeal porridge, then looked at the equally watery contents in Zhao Sume's bowl, and it felt as if his heart had been pricked by a needle. Mom, have you eaten? Would you like a bowl? Zhao Sume poked her head out from by the stove and politely asked a question. No, I've already eaten. Li Hongxia waved her hand, then sighed and began her performance. Guoqiang, your eldest brother's place has just finished building a house, and he still owes quite a lot of debt. The money you have on hand, lend it to your eldest brother first to help him through this emergency. As she spoke, She watched Lin Guoqiang's expression. In his previous life, Lin Guoqiang would have nodded at this point. But this time, Lin Guoqiang held his bowl and calmly took a sip of the cornmeal porridge, so hot that it made him bare his teeth. Mom, I need that money. Li Hongxia's smile stiffened for a moment. Need it? What do you need it for? I'm planning to fix up these 2 rooms. Lin Guoqiang put down his bowl and wiped his mouth with his sleeve. Look at this roof. It's leaking wind and rain everywhere. Winter is coming, and Sumei and the 2 children won't be able to stand it. Li Hongxia's expression changed, but she quickly adjusted and piled on a smile again. Oh my, your place is good enough to make do in. Your eldest brother urgently needs money, so let him have it first. When your eldest brother is better off later, he'll pay you back. I'm not lending it. Lin Guoqiang cut her off, his tone calm, but unquestionable. I'll worry about my own family's affairs myself. As for eldest brother, let him figure something out himself. Li Hongxia's smile completely fell apart. You child, how can you talk like that? That's your own eldest brother. I know he's my own eldest brother. Lin Guoqiang raised his head and looked into Li Hongxia's eyes. But I also have a whole family to support. Li Hongxia felt a little unnerved by the way he looked at her. Something was off about her second son's gaze today. It was different from before. In the past, when he looked at her, there was always a kind of cautious eagerness to please in his eyes, as if he were afraid of making her unhappy. But today, his gaze was direct, flat, and even carried a hint of toughness. Lin Guoqiang's expression didn't change at all, and he didn't care about her look in the slightest. In the more than half year since I came back from the army, the household expenses have been high. Sumei is in poor health, and the 2 children need food and drink. That little bit of money I had was spent long ago. Li Hongxia's face fell. Guoqiang, who are you trying to fool? When you came back from the army, the military gave you a resettlement allowance. And you've worked for so long too. So how could you possibly have no money? Mom, how much was the resettlement allowance anyway? 800 yuan. When the 3rd child got married, I paid the bride price and bought the furniture. And I paid for the wedding banquet too. Not a cent has been paid back to me to this day. Last month you said the family had to turn in public grain and took 50 from me. The month before last, Dad said his back hurt and he needed to go to the county town to see a doctor, and took another 30. Add in the usual odds and ends. Do the math. How much is left? Lin Guoqiang listed them one by one, like reading from an account book. But with each item he listed, Li Hongxia's expression grew uglier. Besides, it's not as if you can't see how my family is getting by. Lin Guoqiang pointed at the cornmeal porridge on the table. Look at what we're eating. Sumei hasn't gotten a single new piece of clothing since the new year, and the shoes Jingjing is wearing were made last year. Even the soles have been worn through. Wei Wei is only 1 year old, right at the age when she needs nutrition. But we can't even afford malted milk, so we can only feed her rice paste. Mom, it's not that I'm unwilling to help eldest brother. I truly can't help. My own family is practically unable to make ends meet. So what am I supposed to use to help him? Li Hongxia was left speechless by what he said, and the expression on her face was quite something. There was anger, disbelief, and also confusion over how this son had suddenly become disobedient. She opened her mouth, still wanting to say something, but Lin Guoqiang had already stood up. He walked over to the stove, took the spatula from Zhao Sumei's hand, and said, "Let me do it. Go keep an eye on Wei Wei." Zhao Sumei stared at him blankly, as if she were seeing her own husband for the first time. Lin Guoqiang did not look at her. Instead, with his back to Li Hongxia, he said in an even tone, "Mom, you should go back. Elder brother's family is short of money, and so am I. I really can't help. Tell elder brother to think of a way himself." Li Hongxia sat on the edge of the Kong, not moving for a long while. She stared at Lin Guoqiang's back for quite a while, her lips trembling a few times, but in the end she didn't say a word. She stood up, patted the non-existent dust off her pants, and turned to walk outside. When she reached the doorway, she stopped and turned back to say, "Guoqiang, what's gotten into you today? Did you take the wrong medicine?" Lin Guoqiang did not turn around, and only said flatly, "I didn't take the wrong medicine. I've just figured things out." Li Hongxia snorted and slammed the door as she left. The door banged against the frame with a crash, shaking loose the dust on the wall, which fluttered down. The room fell quiet. Zhao Sumei stood by the Kong, holding Lin Wei in her arms, staring at Lin Guoqiang without blinking. Their eldest daughter, Lin Jing, held a bowl in her hands, a spoon in her mouth, looking at her father and mother with a confused expression. Lin Guoqiang put down the spatula, turned around, and looked at Zhao Sumei. Zhao Sumei's eyes had reddened. "Guoqiang," her voice trembled a little. "Today, what's wrong with you today? You never used to dare speak to Mom like that." Lin Guoqiang walked over and took Lin Wei from her arms, holding her carefully against his chest. The 1-year-old little girl was soft and cuddly, staring at him with big grape-like black eyes, making a couple of babbling sounds and reaching out her little hand to grab his nose. Lin Guoqiang looked down at his daughter, his eyes stinging with wave after wave of emotion. In his previous life, this daughter had been married off by his mother to Fatty Wang, where she suffered endless grievances. And he, her father, pressured by Li Hongxia's threats of suicide and hysterics, had ultimately compromised. Sume, he lifted his head and looked at Zhao Sume, saying each word clearly, "From today on, no one gets anything from our family. No one is taking a single cent or a single grain of food from our home." Zhao Sume's tears came pouring down at once. She had waited for these words for who knew how many years. From the very first day she married him, she had watched his family treat him like an ox and a horse, working him to the bone. He always sent the good things to others, while carrying all the bitter, tiring work himself. She had tried to persuade him, argued with him, and even brought up divorce, but he just would not change. For the sake of their 2 daughters, she endured it again and again, almost growing used to it. Before, every time he would say that they were all one family, and if they could help, they should. Suffering a little loss was nothing. But today, right in front of his mother, he had actually refused. "Guoqiang Yu." Zhao Sume wiped away her tears, wanting to say something, but not knowing what to say. Lin Guoqiang freed one hand and took hers. Her hand was rough and cracked, the joints slightly misshapen from years of labor. These hands should have been delicate and soft, should have been cherished in a man's palms. But how much had these hands suffered by following him? "Sume," his voice was a little hoarse, "I was a bastard before. I was always thinking about helping this one and helping that one, while wronging you and the children. From today on, I'll change. We'll live our own lives ourselves. No one will get to take another bit of advantage of our family." Zhao Sume could no longer hold it in and covered her face as she sobbed. She cried loudly, as if trying to cry out all the grievances and bitterness of these past years. Lin Jing was frightened by her mother and also burst into tears with a wail, running over to hug Zhao Sume's leg. Lin Wei didn't know what had happened, but seeing that her mother and older sister were both crying, she also opened her mouth and wailed along with them. The family of 4 stood in this shabby, drafty house, crying in a huddle. Outside the window, the sun was shining brightly. The song on the loudspeaker had already changed to another one, Li Gai's Nostalgia for the Countryside. "Your voice, your singing, forever engraved in my heart. Though yesterday has already faded away, parting makes reunion hard. How could I forget your deep affection?" Holding his younger daughter in his arms, taking his wife's hand, and looking at his elder daughter's tear-streaked little face, Lin Guoqiang said silently in his heart, "In this lifetime, I will never let you suffer again." That very afternoon, his 3rd younger brother, Lin Guodong, came. He was riding a 28-inch roadster bicycle, with a canvas bag tucked onto the rear seat, bulging full of something unknown. The moment he came in, he was all smiles, as if nothing had happened, and took a turn around the main room, his gaze lingering for 2 seconds on the cabinet in the corner. "Second brother, what are you busy with?" He sat down on a stool by the stove, crossed one leg over the other, and pulled out a pack of dakiamin from his pocket, taking one out and putting it in his mouth. Lin Guoqiang was chopping firewood in the yard. The axe came down with a crack, and a locust log as thick as a bowl's rim split in 2 on the spot. He didn't look up, only responded with a sound, chopping wood. Lin Guodong lit the cigarette, took a puff, blew out a string of smoke rings, narrowed his eyes, and said, "Second brother, I want to tell you something." "Go ahead." "I recently found a job in town, doing transport runs for someone, and I can earn more than 40 yuan a month. But, well, they want a deposit, and I have to pay 200 yuan up front." He flicked the ash onto the ground. "I'm a bit short on cash right now, so I wanted to borrow some from you." Lin Guoqiang's axe stopped in midair. In his previous life, the 3rd brother had come the same way. He said exactly the same thing. He wanted to borrow some money for a transport run deposit. Lin Guoqiang believed him and took out the last bit of money he had. And what happened? After taking the money, the 3rd brother turned around and bought Su Qingqing a watch and spent the rest on treating people to meals. Transport runs? There wasn't even the shadow of a vehicle. No money. Lin Guoqiang brought the axe down with another crack. Lin Guodong froze for a moment, and his cigarette nearly fell to the ground. "Second brother, what did you say?" "I said I have no money." Lin Guoqiang straightened up and wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Those 300 you borrowed when you got married, when are you going to pay them back?" Lin Guodong's expression changed. "Second brother, that's not fair. Those 300 weren't borrowed. Back then you promised to help me." "I said it was borrowed." Lin Guoqiang's tone was very calm, but his eyes were not. Third brother, you remembered wrong. Lin Guodong stubbed out the cigarette, stood up, and the smile on his face disappeared completely. Second brother, did you talk to mom like this today too? She went back furious, saying you seemed like a different person. I haven't changed. Lin Guoqiang stacked the chopped firewood in the corner by the wall, piece by piece, neatly arranged. I've just figured some things out. Figured out what? Figured out that I can't go on like this anymore. Lin Guoqiang turned around and looked at Lin Guodong. Third brother, you're 24 now, not a child anymore. You should earn your own money and spend your own money. Stop always thinking about taking from others. You need to learn to earn it yourself. Lin Guodong's face alternated between red and white, and his lips trembled a few times, wanting to say something harsh. But seeing Lin Guoqiang's indifferent manner, he felt like he was punching cotton. Fine, second brother, you're something. He nodded, his tone carrying obvious anger. Just you wait. He pushed his bicycle away without even stepping over the threshold, just rolling straight over it. The wheel struck the threshold with a bump, and the canvas bag fell to the ground, spilling out 2 packages of pastries and a bottle of liquor. So he had come bearing gifts, planning to be polite first and use force later. Now that the gifts hadn't been delivered and force hadn't been of any use either, he bent down to pick up his things and left without looking back. Zhao Sumei came out of the house and stood in the doorway, watching Lin Guodong's receding figure with a complicated expression on her face. Guoqiang, she said softly, if you offend them like this, in the future. In the future? Lin Guoqiang stacked the last piece of firewood, patted the sawdust off his hands, and said, I didn't offend them before, and things weren't exactly any better. Zhao Sumei fell silent. She knew he was right. On Sunday, Lin Haizhu made an announcement, telling all the children to return to the old family house for dinner. He said the family hadn't gathered in a long time and that they should have a meal together. But everyone knew this meal was not that simple. The old house was at the east end of the village, 3 mud brick rooms, with an old jujube tree in the yard and a donkey tied beneath it. The donkey had originally been allocated by the production team. Nominally, it was under Lin Haizhu's care, but in reality, it was shared means of production for the whole family. By the time Lin Guoqiang arrived with Zhao Sumei and their 2 daughters, there were already 2 bicycles parked in the yard. One was eldest brother Lin Guowei's Yongjio, and the other was third younger brother Lin Guodong's 28-inch roadster. Fourth younger sister Lin Meiling and fifth younger sister Lin Meili had not arrived yet. But eldest sister-in-law Zhou Guifang was already in the kitchen helping Li Hongxia tend the fire. The clatter of the spatula came from inside, carrying with it the aroma of stewed meat. Lin Guoqiang wrinkled his nose. Meat. In his previous life, whenever the old house stewed meat, his family was never invited. But every time there was stewed meat, eldest brother's family and third younger brother's family would be called over. Only he, Lin Guoqiang, was never summoned. Today was a real rarity. They had actually called him over. You're here? Lin Haizhu sat in the main room on a high-backed armchair, holding an enamel tea mug in his hand. Printed on the mug were the 5 red characters, labor is most glorious. Though the lettering had already faded. He glanced at Lin Guoqiang, let his gaze linger on his face for a moment, then looked away. Lin Guoqiang found a stool and sat down, placing Lin Jing on his lap, while Zhao Sumei held Lin Wei and sat beside him. The atmosphere was off. In the main room sat Lin Guowei, while Lin Guodong leaned alone against the doorframe smoking. Su Qingqing hadn't come. It was said she had gone back to her parents' home, but Lin Guoqiang knew that Lin Guodong had deliberately sent her away. After all, she had only married into the family not long ago, and he was afraid it would be inconvenient to speak with her present. Lin Haizhu said nothing. Li Hongxia stayed in the kitchen and did not come out. Lin Guowei kept his head down, rubbing his fingers. Zhou Guifang occasionally poked her head out from the kitchen for a glance, and Lin Guodong stood there puffing away on his cigarette. The air seemed frozen, yet also stretched tight like a taut string that could snap at any moment. Lin Guoqiang sat there quietly, playing with Lin Jing. He curled his finger into a little person and made it walk back and forth across Lin Jing's palm. Lin Jing giggled, revealing a few baby teeth like tiny grains of rice. Zhao Sumei sat beside him, her body drawn tight like a string ready to snap at any moment. She didn't know what would happen today, but she knew it wouldn't be anything good. About 20 minutes later, Lin Meiling and Chun Jingwo arrived. Lin Meiling wore her hair in a ponytail and had on a floral blouse bought from the town supply and marketing cooperative. The fabric was quite nice, but she dressed plainly, without showing off. Chun Jingwo followed behind her, wearing a blue work jacket washed to a pale color. With little expression on his face, and not particularly warm with anyone. Second brother, second sister-in-law. As soon as Lin Miling entered, she greeted Lin Guoqiang first, her voice crisp and bright, carrying a smile. She walked over to Zhao Sumei, teased Lin Wei a little, and said, Wei Wei has grown again, so cute. Miling is here. Lin Guoqiang nodded at her, his gaze lingering on her face for an extra moment. In his previous life, his fourth younger sister was the only one who had reached out a helping hand when he was at his most difficult time. 20,000 yuan was no small amount in those days. She had almost emptied out all her family savings. Although in the end that money was never used, he jumped from the building. But he remembered that kindness. Where's fifth sister? Lin Miling looked around. She hasn't arrived yet? Mei Li said she'd come back later. Li Hongxia came out of the kitchen carrying a basin of food. A basin of Napa cabbage stewed with glass noodles, with a few slices of fatty meat floating on top, glistening with oil, the aroma drilling straight into their noses. She set the dish on the 8 immortals table in the main room, then turned back to carry out more. One after another, the table was filled. Napa cabbage stewed with glass noodles, stir-fried shredded potatoes, cold dressed lotus root slices, a plate of pickles, and a large bowl of braised pork. Braised pork. Lin Guoqiang looked at that bowl of braised pork, his Adam's apple bobbing. Not because he was greedy, but because it reminded him of his previous life. In his previous life, this bowl of braised pork was never his family's share. Zhao Sumei had told him many times that mom had stewed meat and called big brother and third brother, but not them. He said it was fine. Why fuss over this when we're family? Family. He had really been stupid back then. Sit down, everyone sit down. Li Hongxia called everyone to take their seats, then glanced toward the doorway again. Mei Li still isn't here? That girl is never at home all day long. Then let's eat first and not wait. Only after Lin Haizhu spoke did everyone sit down one after another. The 8 immortals table wasn't big and couldn't seat that many people. Lin Haizhu and Li Hongxia sat in the seats of honor. Lin Guowei and Zhou Guifang sat on the right, and Lin Guodong sat on the left. Lin Miling and Chen Zhangwo squeezed onto a long bench in the remaining seat. Lin Guoqiang looked over and saw that there was only a single stool left, right by the door, where a gust of wind would send a chill straight down your neck. Guoqiang, you sit there. Li Hongxia casually pointed at that stool. Zhao Sumei's expression changed, but she said nothing, holding Lin Wei and preparing to go over. Wait. Lin Guoqiang stood up, took Zhao Sumei's hand, walked to the table, and looked at the seating. Then he did something no one had expected. He picked up one end of the long bench Lin Guodong was sitting on and dragged it to the side. The bench tilted, and Lin Guodong nearly fell flat on his butt, the cigarette in his hand dropping to the floor and burning a hole in his pant leg. Hey, second brother, what are you doing? Lin Guodong jumped up, patting the cigarette ash off his pant leg. Lin Guoqiang ignored him, moved the bench a little toward the middle, then brought over another chair and lined it up by the table. Then he pressed Zhao Sumei down into the chair and sat beside her. Lin Jing sat on his lap, and Lin Wei was held by Zhao Sumei. We'll squeeze in a bit, and it'll be enough. He swept a glance over the people at the table. Eat. Everyone at the table was stunned. Lin Haizhu's enamel mug was raised halfway, suspended in midair. One of the chopsticks in Li Hongxia's hand fell with a smack. Lin Guowei sat there with his mouth open, looking utterly incredulous. The corner of Zhou Guifang's mouth twitched, as if she wanted to say something but held it back. Lin Guodong stood there, and the expression on his face was a real spectacle. Annoyance, embarrassment, disbelief, they played across his face in turn. Lin Miling lowered her head, the corners of her mouth curving up as she secretly smiled. Chen Zhangwo remained expressionless, but his eyes shifted as he glanced at Lin Guoqiang, and there was a trace of something different in that look. Guoqiang, you? Li Hongxia was the first to come back to her senses, her expression ugly. What are you doing? Why are you moving the seats around when they were fine as they were? Mom, that spot is in the draft. My wife isn't in good health. She can't handle the wind. Lin Guoqiang picked up his chopsticks, took a piece of braised pork and put it into Zhao Sumei's bowl, then picked up another piece and put it into Lin Jing's bowl. Eat. The dishes are getting cold. Li Hongxia's face fell. She glanced at Lin Haizhu. Lin Haizhu said nothing, only lifted his enamel mug and took a sip of water, as if to say forget it, eat first. Lin Guodong sat back down angrily, and the stool creaked under him. The atmosphere at the dinner table turned even colder. The sounds of chopsticks hitting bowl rims, chewing, and coughing filled the air, but no one spoke. The bowl of braised pork in the middle of the table was steaming, glossy with oil, but no one had the nerve to make the first move. Except for Lin Guoqiang's family. Lin Guoqiang picked up piece after piece. until there were 3 or 4 pieces piled in Zhao Sumei's bowl, and 2 in Lin Jing's bowl as well. Under the table, Zhao Sumei kicked him, meaning for him not to be so obvious. Lin Guoqiang pretended not to notice. Guoqiang, you really don't know how to be polite. Zhou Guifeng couldn't hold back anymore and said sarcastically, this meat was stewed by Mom for everyone to eat. And you're stuffing yourself all by yourself. Are other people supposed to eat or not? Lin Guoqiang didn't even lift his head. Sister-in-law, before this, when you all ate meat, you never called our family. You only called us this one time, so what? We've only eaten a few pieces and your heart already aches? Zhou Guifeng was left speechless, her face flushing red. All right. Why is there so much talk over a meal? Lin Haizhu finally spoke. His voice wasn't loud, but the main room immediately fell silent. The old man set down his enamel mug, braced both hands on his knees, and swept his gaze over the sons and daughters around the table. I called you all here today because there's something I need to say. Everyone's chopsticks stopped. Lin Haizhu fell silent for a moment, as if organizing his words, or perhaps making one last struggle. Your mother and I discussed it, he finally said, his voice somewhat hoarse. It's time for this family of ours to split up. Divide the family. These 2 words were like a pebble thrown into still water, stirring up ripples layer upon layer. Lin Guowei and Zhou Guifeng exchanged a glance. A hint of anticipation showed on their faces, the corners of their mouths lifting slightly, but they quickly suppressed it. Lin Guodong had a cigarette in his mouth, his eyes narrowed, his emotions unreadable, but under the table his hand clenched tight. Lin Miling frowned slightly, her lips moved, but she said nothing. Zhao Sumei's body stiffened for a moment, the chopsticks in her hand pausing in midair. Lin Wei squirmed in her arms, and she quickly lowered her head to soothe her. Lin Guoqiang picked up a piece of potato and chewed slowly, without any change in expression. He had long known this day would come. In his previous life, the family split happened half a year later. By then, the money in his hands had already been mostly lent out. When the family was divided, what he got was a patch of poor farmland by the riverbank and 2 mud brick rooms that were on the verge of collapse, plus the right to use that donkey. Nominally it was his, but in reality everyone still shared it. And eldest brother got 3 brick and tile rooms and the best 5 mu of irrigated land on the east side of the village. The third son got a bicycle, the house and the old homestead, plus 200 yuan in startup money. Was it fair? No. But in his previous life, he didn't say a word. He felt that between brothers and sisters, there was no point in fussing over such things. He believed he could earn it with his own 2 hands. And what happened? He struggled for a lifetime and earned nothing at all. It wasn't that he was incapable. It was that every penny he earned was borrowed away, taken away, or divided away. Dad? Lin Guoqiang put down his chopsticks, his voice neither loud nor soft. Splitting the family is fine, but it has to be fair. The main room fell silent for a moment. Everyone's eyes focused on him. Lin Haizhu looked at him, his gaze complicated. This second son had never fought or competed since he was little. He always gave way to his older and younger brothers in everything. Yet today, he was actually the first to speak up for fairness. Fairness? Lin Guodong ground out the cigarette, but on the edge of the table, and let out a cold laugh. Second brother, what do you mean by that? Could it be that you think Dad and Mom would favor someone? I didn't say they would favor anyone. Lin Guoqiang looked at him, his tone calm. What I'm saying is that if we're splitting up the family, there has to be a rule. Do it by the rules, so no one takes more and no one gets the short end of the stick. You. Lin Guodong was about to flare up, but a look from Lin Haizhu shut him down. Guoqiang is right, Lin Haizhu nodded. Splitting up the family should be fair. I'll lay everything out today. Whatever thoughts you have, put them all on the table. He pulled a crumpled sheet of paper from his chest pocket and unfolded it. On it were a few crooked lines of writing, a preliminary plan for dividing the family. I've roughly sorted through the family's property. Lin Haizhu put on his reading glasses. One arm of the glasses was broken and wrapped with wire, sitting crookedly on the bridge of his nose. He began to read. There are 3 houses, 3 rooms in the old homestead. The 3 brick tile rooms your eldest brother just built, and the 2 adobe rooms Guoqiang lives in. As for the land, there are 12 mu in total, 5 mu of irrigated land at the east end of the village, 3 mu of dry land on the western slope, and 4 mu of poor fields over by the riverbank. He paused, then continued reading. As for belongings, there's a forever bicycle, a 28-inch bicycle, a sewing machine, and a donkey. And also, your mother and I have a little savings on hand. Not much, just a little over 300 yuan. Listening to this, Lin Guoqiang sneered inwardly. A little over 300 yuan? In his previous life, He clearly remembered Li Hongxia personally telling third aunt that she and Lin Haizhu had saved more than 100,000. Of course, that was 20 years later. And now it was 1980, when even a household with 10,000 yuan was a rarity, so more than 100,000 was impossible. But 300 yuan? Definitely more than that. Lin Haizhu had been the production team's accountant for most of his life. And although the pay wasn't high, he made up for it by being good at saving. On top of that, there was what several of the children had given them over the years, what was harvested from the fields, and what was raised in the pens. At the very least, they should have had a nest egg of 2 or 3,000 yuan. But he wasn't in a hurry to expose it. Accounts had to be settled one by one, and the play had to unfold scene by scene. Here's what I'm thinking. Lin Haizhu took off his reading glasses and rubbed his eyes. Your mother and I will live in the old homestead. The brick tile house will go to the eldest, and the adobe house to the second. As for the land, the eldest gets the irrigated land, the second gets the poor fields, and the third gets the dry land and lives in the old homestead. The bicycle goes to the third, and he'll also get 200 yuan. The sewing machine will be the fifth's dowry when the time comes, and the donkey. He hesitated for a moment. The donkey won't be divided for now. Everyone can use it together. He finished reading. The main room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. After hearing it all, Lin Guoqiang's expression did not change in the slightest. Because this plan was exactly the same as in his previous life. The brick tile house goes to the eldest. The eldest brother is married and needs a good house. The adobe house goes to the second. The second also has a wife and children. Sorry, make do with the adobe house. The good land goes to the eldest, the poor land to the second. The third gets money, a bicycle, and gets to live in the old homestead. The sewing machine goes to the fifth as a dowry. The donkey isn't divided. Nominally everyone uses it. But who actually uses it? The eldest brother's family used it the most, and the third borrowed it from time to haul goods. He, Lin Guoqiang, was the only one who used it the least, yet still had to share the cost of fodder. Fair. This fucking counts as fair. Dad, Lin Guoqiang spoke, his voice not loud, but every word was clear. I have a few questions. Lin Haizhu looked at him and nodded. Go ahead. First, the eldest brother's brick tile house was built with the timber I brought back from the army. How much was that timber worth? Lin Guowei's face changed. Zhou Guoifan's face changed too. Second, the money for buying furniture and hosting the wedding banquet when the third got married came from my demobilization settlement payment. How should that account be settled? Lin Guodong's cigarette fell to the ground again. Third, Dad, you said you only have 300 yuan in savings on hand. Is that true? Those words exploded in the main room like a bomb. Lin Guoqiang, what do you mean by that? Li Hongxia slapped the table and stood up. Her face flushed red. Are you saying your father is lying? Are you saying your mother has been hiding money? You've really gone too far. Mom, I didn't say anything. Either, Lin Guoqiang said unhurriedly. I just want to ask clearly exactly how much savings the family has. Since we're splitting up the family, the accounts should be settled clearly. We can't do it muddle-headedly. Exactly. Second brother is right. Lin Miling suddenly chimed in, her voice crisp and clear. If the family is being split, the accounts should be settled clearly, otherwise it won't be clear later. Everyone's eyes turned to Lin Miling. Chen Zhangwo's expression changed, and under the table he tugged at her. Lin Miling shook off his hand and said stubbornly, Am I wrong? Second brother's timber and second brother's money were all real, tangible things. Why shouldn't they be counted? Big brother's house was built with second brother's timber, so shouldn't big brother compensate second brother? Third brother borrowed the money to get married from second brother, so shouldn't he pay it back? Lin Miling. Li Hongxia's voice was as sharp as a knife. You, a daughter who's already married off. Why do you have to point fingers here? Don't you have enough to worry about in your own family? Why come running back to your maiden home to stir things up? Mom, I'm just speaking fairly. Speaking fairly? Zhou Guoifang let out a cold laugh. Miling, you're already married out, spilled water. The property of your maiden family has nothing to do with you. Stop acting so high and mighty here. Sister-in-law you. Miling, Lin Guodong also spoke, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Can it be that you just can't stand to see the family doing well? Second brother hasn't even said anything, so why are you in such a hurry? Oh, I know now. Do you also want a share of the spoils? A married-out daughter thinking about her maiden family's property. Aren't you afraid people will laugh if word gets out? You. Lin Miling was so angry her face turned red, and her eyes were reddening too. Third brother, what nonsense are you talking about? When did I ever say I wanted a share of the family property? I was only saying that second brother's timber and money should be settled clearly. Settled clearly? The more Li Hongxia spoke, the more agitated she became. They're family. What's wrong with family helping each other out a little? Your second brother was willing to give it back then. No one forced him. What's the point of dredging up old accounts now? Should we also convert the milk your second brother drank as a child into money and add that up too? Those words were too harsh. Zhao Sumei's face went pale, and the hands holding Lin Wei were trembling. Tears welled up in Lin Miling's eyes, and her lips trembled so much she couldn't speak. Chen Jiangwo's face was dark as the bottom of a pot. He suddenly stood up and grabbed Lin Miling by the arm. Let's go. We're going home. I told you not to come, but you insisted. And now that you've come, you've only caused trouble. Jiangwo, let go of me. Go. Lin Guqiang stood up. He did not rise quickly, but there was an unquestionable force about him. He first glanced at Chen Jiangwo. That look was calm, but for some reason Chen Jiangwo unconsciously loosened his grip on Lin Miling's hand. Then he turned to Li Hongxia. Mom, I remember what you just said. Li Hongxia felt a chill under his gaze, but still braced herself. Which words? What did I say? You said, what's wrong with family helping each other out a little? Lin Guqiang repeated it, his voice very soft, but every word landed on the tabletop like a nail. Then I also want to ask, since we're family, why is it that when I help support them, we're family, but when it's time to split the family and I ask for fairness, we're no longer family? Big brother's house used my timber. That was me helping him. All of third brother's wedding expenses were paid by me. That was me helping him too. But when it came time to split the family, so my timber and money have become something I was willing to give back then, and they don't count anymore? Fine, then let me say this. The timber used for big brother's house, I was willing to give it, but I'm also willing to take it back. The money for third brother to get married, I was willing to give it, but I'm also willing to take it back. Lin Guqiang, how dare you? Lin Guowei sprang to his feet. He was tall, half a head taller than Lin Guqiang, standing there like a wall. Big brother, Lin Guqiang looked at him without retreating half a step. Why wouldn't I dare? Those things belong to me. Your big brother hasn't had it easy. Li Hongxia cut in again, her voice tinged with tears as she began to play the emotional card. Your big brother has been in poor health since childhood. It's not like you don't know how much he's suffered. So what if he built a house? You're his younger brother. If you don't help him, who will? Third brother hasn't had it easy either. He just started a family and has no livelihood. If you, as his elder brother, don't lend him a hand, who will? Mom, Lin Guqiang cut her off, his voice suddenly rising. What about me then? The main room fell silent. Have I had it easy? His voice was trembling. Too much grievance and resentment had been suppressed for too long. After I was discharged from the army, I had an injury in my knee and couldn't do heavy labor. I have a whole family to support. Sumei is in poor health, and the two children are 3 years old and 1 year old. I live in 2 adobe rooms, drafty in winter and leaking in summer. I eat cornmeal porridge with pickles, and my daughter can't even drink malted milk. I have it harder than they do. But I helped big brother, helped third brother, helped this family. I gave up everything I had. Timber, money, labor, time. I held nothing back. But now that we're dividing the family property, what do I get? 2 adobe rooms and 4 mu of poor riverside land. What about big brother? 3 brick and tile rooms and 5 mu of irrigated land. What about third brother? He lives in the old house, gets dry land, plus a bicycle and 200 yuan in cash. Mom, you said family members should help each other. So let me ask you, who is going to help me? His voice wasn't loud, but every word seemed to be squeezed out of his chest, carrying blood with it. Zhao Sumei was already crying her eyes out, and Lin Jing was so frightened that she shrank into her arms and didn't dare move. Lin Miling's tears finally fell. She shook off Chen Jiangwo's hand, walked over to Lin Guoqiang's side, and stood beside him. Second brother is right. She wiped away her tears. Her voice choked but firm. Second brother has given the most to this family. While serving in the army, he sent his allowance home on time every month. Ever since childhood, he was always looking after this one and helping that one. Yet when the family property is divided, he gets the least. That's not fair. Lin Miling, shut your mouth. Li Hongxia completely exploded. Pointing at Lin Miling's nose, she cursed. You good-for-nothing girl who's been married off, siding with outsiders. Are you sick in the head? You. Mom. Lin Guoqiang let out a low roar, not loud, but like an enraged leopard, low and dangerous. Li Hongxia was so startled by his roar that she took a step back and bumped into the corner of the table, hitting her waist and baring her teeth in pain. You can curse me, but don't curse Miling. Staring into Li Hongxia's eyes, Lin Guoqiang said word by word, what she said was fair. If you can't listen to it, that's your problem, but don't curse people. Li Hongxiao was so frightened by his gaze that she didn't dare speak. She had never seen this second son of hers show such a look before. There was no anger or resentment in his eyes, only an icy, unquestionable resolve. It was a bottom line. It was something she had never seen in Lin Guoqiang before. Rebellious, rebellious. Li Hongxiao muttered, plopping down into a chair and beginning to wipe away her tears. What sin have I committed to raise such an ungrateful wretch? Lin Haizhu hadn't said a word from beginning to end. He sat in the grand armchair, his hands braced on his knees, head lowered, the wrinkles on his face as deep as if carved by a knife. His lips trembled slightly, as if he were enduring something. After a long while, he raised his head, looked at Lin Guoqiang, then at Lin Guowei and Lin Guodong. Guoqiang, his voice was so hoarse it was almost inaudible. What do you want? Lin Guoqiang took a deep breath. This was exactly the sentence he had been waiting for. Dad, I don't want much. I only want what I deserve. He took a sheet of paper out of his pocket. Lin Guoqiang had prepared it in advance, and it was densely covered with writing. First, my eldest brother's brick house used my timber. That timber was part of my army subsidy for building a house. And at market price, it is worth at least 150 yuan. Either eldest brother reimburses me in cash at that value, or makes it up to me from the things being divided. Second, when the third brother got married, he used my demobilization resettlement payment. It was 300 yuan in total, and the third brother has to pay that money back. Third, the family's farmland cannot all be divided so that the good land goes to eldest brother and the poor land all goes to me. Either draw lots or split it equally. No one should take advantage, and no one should get the short end. Fourth, the family savings are more than 300 yuan. He raised his head and looked straight into Lin Haizhu's eyes. Dad, you used to be the production team's accountant. You know better than I do. Over these years, how much you and Mom have saved. I won't name a specific figure, but I can say for certain, it's more than 300. These savings also have to be divided, not all to me, but split equally among the 3 sons. Married daughters do not take part in dividing the family property. That's the rule in the village, and I have nothing to say about it. But among the sons, it must be divided equally. Fifth, since that donkey isn't being divided, then set a rule. Whichever family uses it pays for the fodder. It can't be that I use it the least, but pay the most. After he finished reading, he put the paper on the table. A deathly silence fell over the main room. Lin Guowei's face flushed the color of pig liver, and his clenched fists cracked audibly. Zhou Guoifang's lips trembled, as if she wanted to say something but didn't know where to begin. Lin Guodong leaned against the doorframe, his face turning green then white, not even noticing that ash had fallen all over his pants. Li Hongxia sat in the chair, no longer wiping her tears, mouth hanging open like a fish slapped onto the shore. Lin Haizhu kept his head lowered, his expression unreadable. Lin Miling stood beside Lin Guoqiang and secretly gave a thumbs up. Zhao Sumei held Lin Wei in her arms. Tears were still streaming down her face, but the corners of her mouth had already begun to lift slightly. Lin Guoqiang, Lin Guowei finally spoke, his voice low, like muffled thunder rolling out of his chest. Have you lost your mind? I haven't. Lin Guoqiang looked at him. Eldest brother, point out which of the things I said is unreasonable. You. Lin Guowei pointed at his nose, his finger trembling. You fucking ungrateful wretch. Back then, when you helped me, you did it willingly. I never begged you. And now you're dredging it all up to settle accounts. Have you no shame? Eldest brother, you're right. I did do it willingly back then. Lin Guoqiang nodded. But the reason I did it willingly back then was because I thought we were family. Family. If I help you, and you help me, that's only right and proper. But now I see it clearly. When I help you, you won't help me. You'll only take it for granted. You. Eldest brother, Lin Guoqiang cut him off, his voice suddenly turning cold. I'll ask you one more time. Back when you tumbled into the mountain ravine, who was it that carried you out? Lin Guowei froze. You said it yourself, you didn't ask me. Lin Guoqiang said word by word, fine then. If anything happens to you again in the future, don't come begging me either. Lin Guowei's face changed from liver red to ashen blue, and he suddenly lunged forward, grabbing Lin Guoqiang by the collar. Say that again. Lin Guoqiang looked into Lin Guowei's eyes, his gaze turning cold. Big brother, do you want to lay a hand on me? Lin Guowei raised his fist. Enough. Lin Haizhu slammed the table hard. The enamel tea mug was jolted into the air, rolled onto the floor with a clang, and tea spilled all over the ground. Everyone was stunned by it. Lin Haizhu stood up, his body trembling slightly, but his voice was unexpectedly steady. Sit down, all of you. Gritting his teeth, Lin Guowei glared at Lin Guoqiang for a full 10 seconds before finally letting go. then dropped heavily back into his seat. Lin Guoqiang straightened the collar that had been wrinkled from being grabbed and sat down again. Lin Haizhu bent over, picked up the tea mug from the floor, and placed it on the table. His movements were very slow, his expression solemn. Then he raised his head and looked at Lin Guoqiang. "Guoqiang," he said, "I've remembered everything you've said." "Dad." Lin Guowei panicked. "Shut up." Lin Haizhu gave him a look. It wasn't a harsh look, but Lin Guowei was like he'd been struck motionless, swallowing the words that had reached his lips. Lin Haizhu put back on the old reading glasses with wire wrapped around the temples, picked up the sheet of paper Lin Guoqiang had written, and read it word by word. He read for a long time. No one spoke in the main room. Only the wall clock ticked away. Lin Guoqiang sat there without rushing. He knew that although Lin Haizhu was biased, he wasn't an unreasonable man. He was an old-fashioned farmer, stubbornly set in his ways. When it came to dividing the family property, deep down he still cared about fairness. The reason it had been divided that way in his previous life was because no one had objected. He himself hadn't said a word, so Lin Haizhu had naturally gone along with Li Hongxia's wishes. But in this life, he raised an objection. Black and white on paper, item by item, perfectly clear. Lin Haizhu couldn't pretend not to see it. Finally, he put down the paper, took off his reading glasses, and rubbed the bridge of his nose. "What Guoqiang said makes sense." Li Hongxia's eyes went wide. "Old man, what did you say?" "I said, what Guoqiang said makes sense." Lin Haizhu's voice wasn't loud, but it was firm. "The timber belongs to Guoqiang. The money belongs to Guoqiang. They can't be used for nothing. And the good fields can't all go to the eldest while the poor ones go to the second. That's not fair." "You." Li Hongxia shot to her feet. "Have you gone senile? Which of the eldest and the third isn't more promising than Guoqiang? Instead of giving the good things to the promising ones, you give them to that good for nothing." "Mom." Lin Guoqiang called out, his voice not loud, but Li Hongxia's words came to an abrupt stop. She looked into Lin Guoqiang's eyes and, for some reason, suddenly felt that this son was very unfamiliar. No, not unfamiliar. He had changed. Thoroughly changed, inside and out. "Fine." Li Hongxia plopped back down, folded her arms, and turned her face to the side. "You men talk it over. I'm done with it. Whatever I say is wrong anyway." Lin Haizhu was silent for a while, then raised his head and looked at Lin Guowei and Lin Guodong. "Eldest, third, what do you two say?" Lin Guowei clenched his jaw so tightly. The veins at his temples throbbed visibly. He was a man who cared about face, and in the village he was considered somebody. Today, being called to account by his younger brother in front of the whole family, he had lost all face and dignity. But he wasn't stupid. He knew that, in terms of reason, there was indeed nothing wrong with what Lin Guoqiang had said. The timber was his, and the money was his too. Used was used, taken advantage of was taken advantage of. As for the timber, gritting his teeth, he forced out the words one by one. "I admit it. 150 yuan, I'll pay it." But, he changed tack. "I'm short on cash right now and can't come up with that much money at once. I'll pay in installments and settle it within a year." Lin Guoqiang nodded. "Okay." Lin Guowei glanced at him. In that look there was reluctance, anger, but also a trace of wariness that even he himself hadn't realized. From today on, this younger brother was different. Now it was Lin Guodong's turn. Leaning against the doorframe, he crushed out who knew which cigarette in his hand and let out a cold laugh. "Second brother, you're really something. The 300 yuan spent on getting a wife, I'll pay it back." But, he changed the subject, exactly like Lin Guowei, "I don't have any money right now. I'll repay it when I do." "No." Lin Guoqiang refused directly. "Third brother, you just said that you found a job in town, earning more than 40 a month. Then pay back 20 yuan a month, and it'll be paid off in 15 months. Lin Guodong's face darkened. "Second brother, is this really necessary? I'm your own younger brother." "Third brother, you just said it yourself." Lin Guoqiang looked at him. Even between blood brothers, accounts should be settled clearly. Lin Guodong was left speechless. He shot Lin Guoqiang a fierce glare, then flung his hand and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The door panel banged against the wall and bounced back, almost hitting his heel. The main room fell quiet again. Lin Haizhu looked at Lin Guoqiang, then at Lin Guowei, and let out a long sigh. "As for the land," he said, "draw lots. 5 mu of irrigated land, 3 mu of dry land, and 4 mu of poor land, split into 3 shares. You 3 brothers will draw lots. Whatever you get is what you get, and no one is to blame anyone. As for the savings..." He paused and glanced at Li Hongxia. Li Hongxia turned her face away and did not look at him. "The family's savings are more than just 300. Lin Haizhu's voice was very low, as if making a difficult decision. There is a total of 1,200 yuan. Your mother and I saved this over the years. Some came from distributions by the production team, some from what you usually gave us out of filial respect, and some from selling the 2 pigs we raised in the pen. 1,200 yuan, split into 4 shares. You 3 brothers get 300 each, and the remaining 300. He looked at Lin Meiling, then at the doorway. Lin Meili hadn't come back yet. Lin Meiling quickly waved her hands. Dad, I don't want it. I'm already married off. I didn't say it was for you. Lin Haiju cut her off. That 300 is being kept for your mother and me. After we're gone, whatever remains will be divided again. Lin Guoqiang nodded. This plan was even a bit better than he had expected. What about the donkey? He asked. The donkey. Lin Haiju thought for a moment. The donkey won't be divided for now, but just as you said, whichever family uses it pays for its fodder. We'll settle it once a month. How many days each family used it and how much fodder they provided will be recorded in the accounts. All right. Lin Guoqiang stood up. Dad, then it's settled. Tomorrow we'll draw lots to divide the land. As for the money, eldest brother and third brother will pay in installments, and my share of the 300 yuan. He looked at Lin Haiju. Dad, can you give me my 300 yuan today? Li Hongxia suddenly whipped her head around, her eyes almost spitting fire. Lin Guoqiang, your father isn't dead yet, and you're already in a hurry to divide the money. Mom, I'm not in a hurry. Lin Guoqiang said, neither servile nor overbearing, and you also know the family situation. Wei Wei is in poor health and needs nutrition. I want to use this money to buy her some milk powder and also get a few doses of medicine for Sume to help her recover. You unfilial son. Li Hongxia was trembling with anger, but she couldn't find anything to say in rebuttal. Someone is taking money to buy milk powder for his daughter and get medicine for his wife, so what could you say? Say no, you can't take this money. You have to keep it to support us in our old age? Those words simply couldn't be spoken. Lin Haiju was silent for a while, then stood up and walked into the inner room. After a while, he came out holding a stack of banknotes, a thick wad. There were 10 yuan notes, 5 yuan notes, 2 yuan notes, 1 yuan notes, as well as some small bills and coins. In front of everyone, he counted them one by one. 300 yuan. Guoqiang, count it yourself. Lin Guoqiang took it, did not count it, and stuffed it straight into his pocket. No need to count, I trust Dad. Then he walked over to Zhao Sume, took Lin Wei from her arms, holding the child in one hand and Zhao Sume's hand in the other. Dad, Mom, big brother, sister-in-law, Meiling, we're heading back first. He reached the doorway, then stopped and turned around. By the way, there's one more thing. Everyone's hearts tightened again. Meiling, he looked at Lin Meiling. You spoke up for me today, and some people aren't happy about it. If anyone gives you trouble because of this later, tell me. His gaze swept over Li Hongxia, Zhou Guifeng, Lin Guodong. Although Lin Guodong wasn't present, the meaning was obvious. If anyone dares bully my sister, I won't let it go. After saying that, he turned and left. Lin Meiling stood in the main room, and tears suddenly streamed down her face again. Second brother had protected her since childhood, and had also protected the rest of the family, but none of them appreciated it. Chen Jiangwo stood nearby, the expression on his face extremely complicated. He looked at Lin Guoqiang's receding figure, then at his own wife. His lips moved, but in the end he said nothing, only silently taking Lin Meiling's hand. This time, Lin Meiling did not shake him off. By the time they got home, it was already dark. Zhao Sume lit the kerosene lamp, and the orange-yellow glow spread through the cramped room, casting the shadows of the family of 4 onto the wall, swaying gently. Lin Guoqiang placed Lin Wei on the Kong. The little girl was already asleep, her little mouth slightly open, breathing evenly. Lin Jing was sleepy too, leaning against Zhao Sume's leg, her eyes drooping. Zhao Sume carried Lin Jing onto the Kong, tucked the blanket around her, then turned around and looked at Lin Guoqiang. She looked at him for a long time. Guoqiang, she said softly, today you offended the whole family. I know. What are we going to do from now on? Lin Guoqiang took out the 300 yuan from his pocket and placed it on the table. The kerosene lamp's light shone on the banknotes, and the images of workers, peasants, and soldiers seemed to shimmer faintly in the light and shadow. From now on, he pushed the money in front of Zhao Sume. You have the final say in this family. Zhao Sume looked at the stack of money, but did not reach out to take it. I don't want it. She shook her head. You keep it. You should still make the big decisions in the family. Sume, Lin Guoqiang took her hand. Before, I was useless and made you and the children suffer with me. From today on, I won't let anyone bully you anymore. No one. Zhao Sume sniffled and nodded hard. She didn't know whether what she had done today was right or not. She had offended her parents-in-law, offended big brother and sister-in-law, offended third brother, almost pushing the entire family to the opposite side. But she knew one thing. Her man had acted like a real man today. The matter of splitting up the family dragged on for a full 3 days. On the evening of the third day, Lin Haiju called his 3 sons to the old house and, in front of Li Hongxia, drew lots to divide the land. Lin Guowei drew first and got 3 mu of dry land. Lin Guodong went second and got 4 mu of poor farmland. Lin Guoqiang drew last, and the remaining 5 mu of irrigated land went to him. Lin Guowei's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. Zhou Guifang immediately refused to accept it. She said, "Why did the eldest get the worst plot while the second got lucky and picked up a bargain?" Lin Guoqiang said unhurriedly, "Sister-in-law, drawing lots was the rule Dad set. Whatever anyone draws is what they get, and no one should blame anyone else. Or should we draw again?" Zhou Guifang still wanted to make a scene, but Lin Guowei grabbed her. He knew that drawing again wouldn't necessarily get them a better one. And if they drew an even worse one, they might not even keep the 3 mu of dry land. He clenched his teeth and accepted it. Lin Guodong, on the other hand, didn't care. He hadn't planned to farm in the first place. And in his eyes, those 4 mu of poor farmland were as good as nothing. After the land was divided, Lin Guoqiang went straight home. That night, he discussed something with Zhao Sumei. "Sumei, I want to fix up our house." Zhao Sumei was sewing shoe soles under the lamp. Hearing this, the needle in her hand paused for a moment. "Fix the house. That'll cost quite a bit, won't it? I've worked it out. If we redo the roof, replace a few rafters, then plaster on another layer of mud, it'll probably cost a little over 100 yuan. Patch up the cracks in the walls and replace the windows with glass. Not many, just 2 panes will do. Altogether, 150 yuan should cover it." Zhao Sumei frowned, pained by the expense, but she didn't say anything. The house really did need repairs. Last winter, the northwest wind blew in through the cracks in the wall, and Lin Wei was still little then, crying from the cold. She stuffed the window with a cotton quilt, and the room was as dark as a cellar. "Then, what about the rest of the money?" she asked cautiously. "The rest, I have other uses for it." Lin Guoqiang didn't go into detail. Early the next morning, he went to the town to buy materials. Rafters, roofing felt, glass, lime, cement, and all sorts of miscellaneous things filled an entire cart. He borrowed the production team's donkey to pull it back. Zhao Sumei stood at the door, looking at that cartload of materials, her heart aching over the cost. "Guoqiang, how much did this cost?" "Not much, a little over 100 yuan. "A little over 100 yuan isn't much? We only got 300 yuan total when the family split up." Sumei, Lin Guoqiang unloaded a bag of cement from the cart, patted the dust off his hands, and said, "Money is just a bastard. If you spend it, you can earn it again. If you and the children can live comfortably, that's better than anything." Zhao Sumei said nothing more and turned to go inside to pour him a bowl of cooled boiled water. Repairing the house took 4 days. Lin Guoqiang did it all himself and didn't hire any help. It wasn't because he couldn't bear to spend the money, but because he didn't want to owe anyone a favor. In the village, if you ask people to help, you have to provide meals. And if you provide meals, there has to be meat and liquor. By the time it's all said and done, it costs more than hiring workers. He first removed all the tiles from the roof, pulled out the rotten rafters, and replaced them with new ones. Laid down a layer of roofing felt, and then put the tiles back on. This part of the job was the most exhausting. Climbing up and down like that made the old injury in his knee ache faintly, but he gritted his teeth and said nothing. Then he filled the cracks in the walls with lime and whitewashed both the inside and outside. The house was small, so it went quickly and was finished in half a day. The most time-consuming part was the windows. The original windows were wooden lattice frames pasted with window paper. They let in drafts in winter and were stifling in summer. Lin Guoqiang went to the glass shop in town and had 2 panes of glass cut, then bought hinges and a latch, and modified the windows himself. He was good with his hands. He had learned carpentry in the army, and though he wasn't an expert, changing a window was more than easy enough for him. On the last day, he cleaned the house inside and out and replaced the old mat on the Kong with a new one. He also used the leftover boards to make a small table and 2 small chairs. Zhao Sumei stood in the doorway, looking at the completely refreshed house, unable to speak for a long while. White walls, glass windows, a new mat, a small table and chairs. Although it was still the same 2 mud brick rooms, compared with before, it was practically like a different place. "Guoqiang." She looked around and her voice was a little hoarse. "What you did is, you fixed up our home like a newlywed house." Lin Guoqiang wiped the sweat from his forehead and smiled. It can't be called a new house, but at least it doesn't let in wind or rain anymore. Lin Jing sat down at the new table, her little hand touching the smooth tabletop, and looked up to ask, "Dad, is this for me to sit at?" "Yes, for you and your little sister. From now on, you can draw and write here." Lin Jing clapped her hands happily. The 3-year-old little girl smiled until her eyes curved like crescents. Lin Wei was still too young to understand these things, but she could also feel that the atmosphere at home was different. Crawling back and forth on the Kong, babbling, excitedly, clearly thrilled. Zhao Sumei stood by the stove, watching her husband and 2 daughters, her eyes slightly reddening. She thought back to last winter, when Lin Wei had a high fever and the room was as cold as an ice cellar. She wrapped the child in every quilt they had, while she herself shivered from the cold. Ling Guoqiang was doing odd jobs for people in town, and by the time he got back it was already midnight. The moment he came in, he took off his own cotton-padded jacket and wrapped it around her, then went to warm himself by the stove. That winter, she had thought life would stay this hard forever. Unexpectedly, this man suddenly changed. He became like a mountain, standing steadily behind her. With the house repaired, Zhao Sumei thought life would just go on like this. Farming, raising the children, taking care of the household. Plain and ordinary, but better than before. But Lin Guoqiang didn't think so. On the 3rd day after finishing the house repairs, he went to town again. When he came back this time, what he brought left Zhao Sumei completely dumbfounded. A bag of white flour, a bucket of oil, a bag of sugar, a packet of yeast, a few chunks of pork belly, plus a flat iron pan and a spatula. Guoqiang. Zhao Sumei looked at that pile of things, her voice going shrill. "Are you trying to spin the whole family into ruin? How much did all this cost?" "Not much, less than 50 altogether." "Less than 50? And you call 50 little? Our family only has." "Sumei," Ling Guoqiang set the things down and turned to look at her. "Listen to me." He pulled her to sit on the edge of the Kong, settled Lin Jing and Lin Wei, then said very seriously, "I want to start a small business." Zhao Sumei froze. "What kind of small business?" "Look," he said, taking out that piece of pork belly from the bag. "I learned cooking in the army, and after being discharged, I worked as a kitchen helper in the middle school cafeteria in town for more than half a year, so I do have a skill. I want to sell some food at the entrance of the factory in town, like rujiamo or scallion pancakes. The costs are low, it's easy to get started, and the profit isn't bad either." Ling Guoqiang had only worked as a kitchen helper for more than half a year in this life. But in his previous life, he had worked in kitchens for over 10 years, so there was no problem at all when it came to cooking. Zhao Sumei parted her lips as if to say something, then swallowed the words back. "Sumei, I know you're afraid of wasting money. But think about it. Relying only on those 5 mu of irrigated land, how much can we have left by the end of the year? After handing in the grain quota and keeping seeds, how many days would what's left even feed our family? But what if you lose money doing business?" Zhao Sumei's voice was very soft, filled with worry. "I won't lose money." Confidence showed on Lin Guoqiang's face. "I know perfectly well what sells and what doesn't. Something like rujiamo has low costs. 1 bun with meat costs less than 1 jiao to make, and if I sell it for 3 jiao, that's a net profit of 2 jiao. Sell 50 in a day, and that's 10 yuan. That would be 300 yuan a month. 300 yuan. Zhao Sumei's eyes widened. Even after a whole year of scraping a living from the fields, she and Lin Guoqiang couldn't save 300 yuan. But there are so many families in town doing business. Why would people buy from you? Lin Guoqiang smiled, and in that smile was a kind of confidence Zhao Sumei had never seen before. Because of my cooking. He wasn't bragging. In those years when he worked as a kitchen helper at the state-run restaurant in the county town in his previous life, although he was only an assistant, whenever the head chef cooked, he would stand nearby watching and secretly learning. The head chef's surname was Sun, an old chef recruited from the provincial capital. His skills were authentic, and his temper was fierce too, so ordinary people didn't dare get close. But Lin Guoqiang was honest and hardworking, arriving earliest and leaving latest every day, keeping the kitchen spotless. Master Sun saw it all, and gradually became willing to teach him a few things. Chopping, flipping the wok, seasoning, heat control. He learned them one by one and practiced them one by one. After more than 10 years, his cooking skills were absolutely top-notch. Especially when it came to dough-based foods. He made the baiji mo for rujiamo and the laminated dough for scallion pancakes even more authentically than Master Sun once said, "Guoqiang, these hands of yours were made for working with dough." Lin Guoqiang remembered those words for the rest of his life.